I think the movie's about two things. I think it's about sort of a fantasy of a woman who has an idea of what Hollywood is and what she's sort of going to become, and then it's a love story on top of it.
This is the girl.
What to say about, I guess, that Hollywood dream?
I don't talk about things like that. You see the film and you feel and think your way through, just like any other film, and you come up with conclusions. It's beautiful to go into a new world, and that's what cinema gives us a chance to do.
He actually has one of the healthiest attitudes about LA and Hollywood than anyone I've ever known. But having said that, this is a guy who loves LA as much as he does, but he doesn't really leave his house much.
I'm so lucky to find both these girls and Justin Theroux and the whole cast. You try to get the right person for the part. Everyone who is known was at one point unknown. So I think these particular, actors have a chance to become known. They've got the stuff.
Mulholland Drive. That's where I was going.
David loves Los Angeles and Hollywood. I don't necessarily think this is his take on it. I think this is his take of a sort of a weak-minded person's take on Hollywood. Many of the things on the surface exist, the directors, producers, studio heads, these kinds of things. But they all exist in this sort of demented, non-real way, like the studio head is this sort of bizarre, man who lives underneath with curtains and, behind glass with a little earpiece and those kinds of things, which are really sort of how the studio system exists in your subconscious, that they have this incredible power to shut things down, turn things on, and manipulate people and sort of wreck and change their lives.
Is that something you might agree with?
Sure.
People have been getting off the bus for years and years, and I say it's like going to Las Vegas. Everybody goes there thinking they got a chance to win, and they all do have a chance to win, but 99% of them come back with less than they went in with.
And he's also, I think, very attached to the old Hollywood mythology, meaning, like all the movies that we saw growing up, especially for him in the 50s. And I think that's how he sees it, perhaps through rose-colored glasses. But there's a few things that he sends up, and I don't think it's the way he sees it, but obviously it's done with a lot of irony, and it makes it fun.
That girl is not in my film!
It's no longer your film.
I live in New York, but in Los Angeles, it's 5,000 times worse for an actor because, I'm actually always contending, people say, it'd be sort of tough to live in New York. I disagree. It's the opposite. You have to be really tough to live in Los Angeles because that town on a continual basis just crushes your feelings. You just feel terrible all the time in Los Angeles. Or I do. Maybe it has something to do with my sort of state of mind, but it's a continual feeling hurt, if you will.